All right, crafty friends, welcome to Hither and Yon Studio. If you've been here before, welcome back. DJ in the studio. Today we're going to make our concertina book. I'm going to show you the way that I make it, but you may want to make it a different way. You may have already made one of these. You may have seen a way that they are made. You may have different papers than me. Whatever works, do that. I'm just going to do what works for me, and I'm going to show you my process, and then I'll let you take it from there. How's that sound? So, what I did was, well, first I decided that I wanted to have mine be 5 by 5. So that's a cool little working space for me. Maybe you want to do it bigger, 8.5 by 11. Maybe you want to do 5.5 by 4.25. Whatever works for you. The attaching of them can vary as well. So you may find all different ways to do different things. So let's get into it. What I did here was I gathered up some different papers. So this is mixed media paper. I have just some book page, and I have some watercolor paper because I wanted to have a variety of papers to work on. You can make this whole thing out of book page and then take a piece of watercolor paper and work on that and then glue it down into your book too. So you don't have to make the decision right now, but basically you need some type of substrate to stick stuff to. That's what we need to get to. One of the other things I did was I took some of that scrapbook paper that I have that I don't really use for anything else, and I backed it with some book page. I just wanted to kind of show you then what I did. So it's not the thickest paper, it's pretty thin. It's not even as heavyweight as my cardstock. It's the traditional scrapbooking paper. And so I put two pieces of book page on this side, and then I'm just going to put a third on the other side. But I just wanted to show you what I was doing there so that you kind of had an idea. So I took a piece of book page, I put it on, and then I glued, and then I put another piece on, and then I cut it out. So this is one piece of scrapbook paper with two pieces of book page, and now I'm going to put a third piece on this side to kind of cover up the part that I don't like that much or have no use for anymore. I don't scrapbook anymore, and these papers are very old. They've probably been in my stash 20 years at least, maybe more. So I'm just gonna take my glue stick. I'm using an Uhu stick. This one is the blue one. I don't think it glues any different than the other one. It just, I can see it on white paper. Of course, I can't see it on this blue paper, of course. And then I'm just gonna glue this down. And I like the book page because I have a lot of it. It's easy to stick down, and I can cover it up with some gesso, which I'm gonna do a lot of. So while we're talking gesso, I'll just talk about a couple other supplies that I'm probably going to be using this month. You may or may not have them, and that's okay because I'll just give you some alternatives of what you can do if you kind of want to mimic my process, so that you don't have to worry that you can't play along just because you don't have a tool or something. So I'm going to be using my gel plates, and I have an 8.5 or an 8.5 by 11 or an 8 by 10. I don't remember when I last measured it. Anyway, I also have a 5 by 7 that I might bring out as a palette. I'm going to be using my sewing machine definitely because that's my jam. I'm going to be using various mediums like matte gel medium, matte medium, just not the gel form, which is basically just an acrylic base. So think of your acrylic paints, but without color. And I'm going to use that for sealing and things like that. I'll probably use some kind of texture paste to work through some stencils to get some texture on the page. I'll use stencils, like I just said. I'm going to be using a variety of my distress inks and some acrylic paint, maybe. I don't know yet 100%, but those are some of the things I like to use. I have some inks as well, like not dye based ink, but pigment inks like StazOn and Versa Clear, I think it is. So I'll probably be using some of them, stencils, just like, oh, and I have a brayer and maybe just some elements to make texture, which you may or may not have, but that's okay. That's okay. You can find ways to do things without. And there's plenty of things that you can find in your home to stamp with or make impressions with. And I'll just show you, we're going to make some fun foam stamps to use if you've ever done those before. They're really fun. I have some that are already made, but we'll make some more and things like that. So just some other things that I figured I'd give you a warning about. This way, if you wanted to prep and have some of those things ready, you could. I want this to be really grungy, dark, uh, kind of dystopian. That's when I think of grunge, I think of things all cut up and smashed and scratched and sewn, but not in a good way, and torn. I might use pieces of nature like brown leaves and twigs and things like that. If it were a little warmer here, I would definitely do some eco printing with some live plants, but I don't have anything alive outside yet worth playing with. But we'll get into some stuff, and like I said, I will try to give you alternatives for everything so that everybody can play. And if you're really creative, you will find a way to make it work. That's what we all tend to do, right? So if you don't have matte gel medium, you can use like a Mod Podge, things like that. So, okay, so we have all of these fun pieces. And like I said, I'm doing mine 5x5, but you may want to do something different. And I'm going to need to attach them together. And so there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can do it with washi. You can do it with masking tape if that's what you have. If you have any of this fabric tape, I'll pull one out here. Hold on. So this stuff, it's like a medical tape. It's a paper tape. You could use some of this, and this takes color sort of well. It's kind of for sticking so that it doesn't stick to your skin, but I have it around for mixed media and stuff. I would probably glue it if you are going to use this. What I tend to do is just use some book page because I'm going to be going over it anyway, or fabric, and I might use a little of each. Let me grab the fabric. Yeah, so I always have a bunch of this around just because to play with. These are old sheets or pillowcases. They are a weave, I believe, because they'll pull like that and fray. And so I have these so that I can use them to bind pages together. I can do them that way, or I can do them in strips like we did on the Ladybug Journal, where we last year, where we kind of did our tab book and we did the tab binding. Something else you could use is this Tim Holtz fabric washi if you have it. Maybe we'll use some of this. Maybe we'll use a mishmash so I can kind of show you some different effects. There is dog hair everywhere still. It's crazy. Another alternative is this paper tape, which you can get pretty reasonably priced at the big box store. And it's usually in the moving section. I think you can get it also like in any stationery section because it's used to seal boxes. A lot of times this stuff is super sticky and it kind of fits our vibe a little. So I might use some of this too. Cut this straight. Why don't we start with this? It doesn't really matter because in the end, it's all going to be whatever you want it to be, right? So let's start with this. Why not? I've just taken my pages and mixed them up. I put a little here of this and that. Actually, let's kind of put this over here. What do we got? I did these before I did those last pieces, so I need to stick some of them in. Is that one? Okay. I don't want too many of the same together. Okay, I think we're good. And I don't care about positioning because I'm probably going to gesso over a lot of it or cover it. And you may be asking, well, why aren't you just covering it with the papers that you gave us? Well, because I don't know what I want to do yet, or which ones I do or do not want to use yet. But you can certainly do that if that is something that you think you would want to do. Absolutely. I just don't know which ones I want to use yet. That's all. So, yeah, that's it. So, that's what I'm going to do. Actually, yeah, no, let's do it this way. I'm going to butt them up together. Maybe I'll leave like a teeny tiny gap. Doesn't matter. And then let's cut this off. This stuff works good. It's super sticky. Definitely want to gesso it though because it is just paper tape pre-glued. So, and it is brown, which maybe you want that. I don't know. All right, so we got that one. So we're just going to go in a zigzag fashion. So the next one I'm going to attach will be here, like so. And then the next one will be here, and so on and so on. All right. So let's do a mix of things. I'll get out a piece of fabric and we'll use that. That'll kind of give it a very eclectic look. I like eclectic. All right. You want to pull off the hairs because they're just going to be annoying. And then for this, I'm going to use a Fabrifix. This is a little messier. It takes a little longer to dry. The paper tape is ideal, or that Tim Holtz washi, or a washi tape that you just kind of tape down. You just want something that's not going to tear easy. If you're using paper, try to find a way to reinforce it, even if it's on the inside, a side that you're not going to see, because you don't want to go through all the work of making a beautiful art book or journal or whatever, and then only to have it tearing apart, which may or may not be a bad thing. I mean, then you can like tape it and fix it up and make it even grungier. So I guess it depends on your take, right? All right, so I'm going to put this in here. All right, like that. And then something else you guys can do, hold on. I don't have a really large one. This is my double-sided tape. I think this is 1/2 inch. Goodness me. I don't know. Yeah. I would get like a 1 inch of this or maybe 3/4 inch. I thought I had 3/4, but I don't. You can take this and put it on your fabric. It would be ideal if my fabric was ironed. And make your own like kind of fabric tape, like the Tim Holtz tape. Right, you can do that. Let's stick this down really good. This stuff is really strong most of the time. I'll probably eat my words, but we're gonna trim it right down. Well, not with those. We are not. While that dries, we gotta let that dry anyway. I noticed in my last few videos I keep pulling stuff down and out of view. I'm sorry about that. It is just the way that I work, and I'm trying to get it all on screen, guys. Really, I am. That's the goal. I'm not trying to keep it all from you, I promise. And then when you peel this off, yeah, you got to really stick it down good. Okay, there we go. You actually get a fabric tape, kind of like the Tim Holtz stuff. This one's not as sturdy, but it's just an idea. If you have some 3/4 or 1 inch double sided tape, you can use that and make your own fabric tape. All right, we're going to let that dry. Really don't want to use these on glue. Come on, scissors, work with me. All right, so you can do that. So we got that, and I do want to do the other side. You don't have to if you don't want to. I am going to. And since I did the other side, I don't have to go all the way if I don't want to, but you could also just wrap it around and then you don't have to do one side or the other. With the fabric, it doesn't matter as much. It's more aesthetics of having something there. So I think the Tim Holtz stuff is going to be a little thick. My material is a muslin, so I don't think it's going to be as thick. As far as creasing goes, this stuff works, but it's better on an outer crease than it is on an inner crease. Of course, you could do it this way, and then it wouldn't be as bad because you wouldn't have so much of it. But when you fold this on itself like that, there's bulk there. I don't care how good of a seam you get, you're going to have some bulk there. So I don't know if that's going to be the best. We'll get some washi though, regular. Some regular Tim Holtz washi, why not? It's a grungy journal. I hesitate to use too much washi because it's hard to cover over, and yeah, no, I'm going to use the Fabrifix. You know, you can gesso over it, but it's just not as good as gessoing over paper. It's washi. But I'll just show you a couple of ways and then you guys can decide what you want to do. So, do that. And then this I'm just going to wrap around because why not? This needs to glue down. And you can make it as big or as small as you want. You can keep adding pages to it as you go. You don't have to say there's an end to it at any point if you don't want to. It is pretty much up to you how you want to get it all together. Let's use some of this, which I would also glue down. But for this, I think I can feel confident in using my art glitter glue. But try it, you know, run some tests, let stuff dry, see what works for your paper, your makeup, your style, whatever it is you're doing. This is art and it's interpretive, and everybody does what they want to do and plays how they want to play. This is popping up on me and making things difficult. There we go. This one I can barely see, but I can just wrap it up the other side. And you guys may already have this tape in your medicine cabinet or cupboard or whatever it is that you call that space. And look at that. We got a nice little dog hair in there. Of course we did. Because they're everywhere. Ugh, they're everywhere. We did have a nice walk at the park today. We got out and got some fresh air. It was cold and windy. Oh my goodness, you're just not going to move. All right, I'm just going to cover it over with something. My prim dog hair will always forever be in this concertina folder. All right, so there we go. All right, and you can just keep building. Now I'll give you an alternative. way to assemble, and then I'll go in and assemble all my pages and I'll show you the end result. I don't need to keep doing it on camera with you guys because I think you kind of get it at this point. For these, I just cut down some, I made them double pages, a book page, and then I cut them down to the 5-inch size, assuming I'm doing the same size as this. And then what you can do is just make this an endless piece and fold it uh, every 5 inches if you want, or whatever size you want. It doesn't even matter. You can pick a random size, and let's do that. We'll just pick this random size. And then you're just going to take your next piece and attach it to the first piece. And you can add a piece of tape or something if you want to make it a little more sturdy. Okay, and you just attach this. And you could use Amazon packaging paper too. That would be a really good, or regular copy, whatever you have. Use what you have. All right, and then we just fold this back so that it's the same width as that. And maybe you don't want to make it the same width and you want to make it a little wonky, you can do that too. That is perfectly fine. And then you just come in with another piece and you put it here. And this way you don't have all those hinges like every 5 inches, if that's not something you want to do, or if this method just seems, a little easier. And if you have scraps of paper, you can do this with scraps too. All right, so this one I'm going to go out a little more. So it's not going to be exactly the same width all the way down. And then this one I'll fold inwards a little so it's not going all the way to that edge. So we're kind of getting a little wonkiness over here, a little wonkiness over there, and you can marry it back and forth that way, match it however you want. But this is just another way that you can make this accordion style. Okay, and when you're done, you'll have the same setup and you'll have all the pages that you can work on. So that might be a little quicker for you to do. I am going to continue to assemble these, and I think I will do a mix of my brown paper tape here and my fabric because those are my favorites. I did want to show you some other options, but I'm going to use what I like. So I will do that and I will be right back with you. I'll see you in a minute. All right, and we're back. And so I cut a lot of paper, but I didn't assemble it all. I figured I was getting ahead of myself, and I don't know how far this will go, but I have the papers. I mean, I will use them. It just may not be all in one shot. So the next thing I want to do for the pages that have book page on them, I want to push back some of it with some gesso. And if you don't have gesso, you can just use a white acrylic paint. But I'm going to use my white gesso. This is a Liquitex Basics. Let me do it this way. It'll be faster because there's always some kind of something on my cap. All right, so I'm just going to get some out here. And you can use black, you can use white, you can use clear. I like the white because then I can see what I'm covering. And I'm just taking a palette knife and I'm just going to kind of do one side at a time. This way it has some dry time. I'll go over the tape, but I don't necessarily need to go over the mixed media paper or the watercolor paper. I use them on purpose so that I can have those surfaces. So I'm going to leave them. And your gesso, when you're applying it, you can go and kind of make it real flat. I'm just afraid this is going to fall off my desk. Or you can leave some texture in it to dry that way. So when you add other mediums on top of it, and you can use your finger for this too. It happens to be one of my favorite tools. All right, so let's go to this one. I like that this book had these It was like one of those redos of Gulliver's Travels. What? And yeah, it just had some fun little. The text was really big though. I didn't like that so much, but it's good if you're trying to cut words out of it, like to use as words on a page. Okay, so this is the washi. We'll see how it does there. Sometimes it doesn't do anything. We'll do that. We may have to go over it a couple of times. I'm just going to do a base coat now and then do more as I go. The book page is going to be real porous, and I just think that I missed the page over here, so I'm just putting a little on there. I think that it will be less warping if we get if we get gesso on those pages. The mixed media page, I'll show you the brand that I'm using. This one's Strathmore for the watercolor. I think this is Canton. Let me just open it. Canson, sorry. Canson. So this was the 9x12. I just cut it up. And then I had this little pack of watercolor. So that's what I use for the mixed media and the watercolor. But you can use whichever ones you have. You don't have to use the ones that I'm using. I wouldn't use super expensive watercolor paper for this, especially if you're experimenting, because you don't have to. You don't have to use expensive stuff. So just a light coat, but if you want some texture, just kind of pile it on. It does take longer to dry though. And you can go back and put more coats on as you need. Oh, and I wanted to show you, on some of these where I put fabric on the one side, on the other side, I just put paper. And that was fine because, well, now this is going to stick to my gray background. The fabric is actually the piece that's going to keep it in place. So if you want to put fabric on one side and then use a paper, like a black cardstock or something grungy, or a page that is out of the kit, you can definitely go ahead and use that. I'm going to go and take my heat gun and or my blow dryer and just dry this quick so we can do the other side. I'll be right back. Okay, I went with the blow dryer. Some notes. As you see, as this was drying, there were some thicker parts, so to make it dry a little faster, I was kind of using my finger tool here to push them and spread it around. So this is all about dry. I have a lot of texture in here. I can see it and feel it. And here on this piece, I don't know how well it's going to show, but there's some bubbling here because of the glue stick. I used a glue stick to glue these pieces together, and it's bubbling because that's the part that didn't stick. And the minute you add any kind of, a liquid, something that's going to soften the page, it'll pull up those pieces that didn't stick down well. But you know what? I love these pieces. I actually look forward to them popping up. And they just add more texture. I can get in there with a craft knife or my scissor and kind of jab at that and tear it back and peel it back. So that is something that I actually look forward to rather than go, oh, I can't believe it's popping up. So if it happens to you, it's a happy, fun accident that you can actually look forward to. All right, so that side is dry. I'm going to continue on this side, and then I'm going to come back here, and I just want to. Oh, I didn't mean to put that on there. What are you doing? I'm going to come back here, and I'm just going to give you some ideas for working with your pages so that, because I don't know about you, but I print almost all of my stuff on an inkjet. I will, if I have an opportunity to use a laser jet printer, I will jump at it. But most of the time, everything I'm printing on is inkjet. And because it's a dye-based ink that you're working with on your inkjet, it's going to run. If you add liquid to it, you put it down and you put something on top of it, the ink is kind of going to flow. So we want to seal off some of our pages, and so I want to show you how you can do that. So I'm just going to finish this up, and then I'll meet you back here. I'm going to bring out my jelly plate because it's one of my favorite tools, but I'll give you some other options also in case you don't have a gel plate of what you can do. So I'll see you in just a few moments. All right, guys, I'm back. I got most of the gesso off my hand. My piece is hanging. I'm going to let it hang overnight, if not for a couple of days, just so I know it's really good and dry before I start messing with it. You may not be that patient and may want to get in there and get all grungy. That's fine. You do you. All you're going to do is make it grungier. I have my gel plate out. I'm going to move it off to the side because it's going to reflect the light. And so it's probably just better that it's there. But just know that's what I'm working on. I'm going to put the medium on and then I'll bring it back into frame real quick. You'll see what I'm doing, but I don't want to keep blinding you. I also have this very cheap Sargent Art acrylic matte medium. And this one says it's non-yellowing. Whatever. I don't know. Who knows? In 20 years it could. I'll probably never see this piece in 20 years. We'll see what happens. Maybe it'll be hanging in a museum. And I'm just going to put a little on. You don't need a lot. You probably need way less than you think you need. And I'm just going to take my brayer, and if you've worked on a jelly plate, you're just going to work in the same manner. And I'm just going to kind of roll off here on my mat. It is going to bubble up a little like that, but that's okay. It'll work. The more you have, the more it's going to do that. But once you put your paper down, it's going to cover it. And then we're going to do a couple of coats. So it will cover the majority. And this is an 8x10 jelly plate. And this is 8.5 by 11. So it's not going to cover the entire thing, but we'll get the majority of it. All right. So I brayered it out. I'm going to put my piece down and I'm going to just rub it on. Okay, and since we're going to do a couple of coats, this first one, I'm just going to pull it off, and I'm going to put it off to the side to dry. Now, can you just brayer it onto the piece? Yeah, you could. The problem is that a lot of times when you're using the brayer, it smears, it moves, it shifts. I like to use the jelly plate because it kind of gives me a nice clean pull, and when I put it down, it kind of does a uniform thing all at once. There's a lot less opportunity for it to smudge. What you see here is the original smudging that's in the photo. But yeah, so that's it. And then I leave this one to dry, and I'll just keep going and I'll do them all. Okay, so I'm going to do the next one. And let me just move this off here. Here, you can look at these guys. These creepy guys. Oh, now I need a book or something. Hold on. I need a brayering off piece. Just because I took my space. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so I hope this is a project that you guys are really going to enjoy. Maybe you won't love what you do. I usually don't love every bit of everything I do. But we have to play, and because that's the only way we grow our art muscles. And no, this isn't junk journaling necessarily, but it is kind of junky and grungy, and I do more than one thing, and I'm sure you do too. So, mixed media is my flavor of the month, and grungy is my calling for April, so that's what we're going to do. All right. So I have a couple other pieces here that I already did that have a couple of coats on them. I'm just going to let this one finish. Now you can leave it on there longer and let it dry a little longer if you want, but there we go. And when this is done, it leaves a nice matte finish. So this one has one coat. This one has two or three coats. I was experimenting with how many coats. So I put some water on here to kind of see what all would happen. Now, um, if you get liquid on the back, it's going to seep up through. So if you're not sealing the back, whatever you put on the back is going to come this way to your ink. So you may want to consider sealing both sides, just to make sure that none of your stuff is altered. I'm trying to get more grunge. So for me, the more grungy, the better. So I'm just going to roll these out. Sorry, I've been blinding you after telling you I wasn't going to blind you. And actually, that's probably way too much. Let me move this over. You can look at these beautiful crows, knowing that I'm right here. I'm right here. And I'm just taking my brayer and brayering off onto this piece of paper, to kind of, I want this to not be too thick. Just like if you do work with a jelly plate, you don't want your paint to be too awfully thick. I mean, there are some instances where you want it thick, but not always. And so I'm going to put this one down. You know, along with the dog hair, every time I put my nail across the paper, this nail polish comes off, and I think it's like little hairs, but it's not. It's actually from my polish. Okay. So, the more coat you can add, the better chance you have of not having your ink smear. So, you decide what's going to work for you. But you can kind of see where the paper is, and then where the medium isn't and where it is. And I'm going to tear a lot of these up and pull pieces out of it and cut it up. So I don't care that it's not on the edge. I'll just tear those pieces off and stitch them up and use them elsewhere. Okay, some alternate ways. We'll move this out of the way. Some alternate ways that you can seal this. You can use microglaze, but the problem is this is a tiny little container and you don't need a lot. You can probably, but it's going to take you forever to use this stuff. This stuff will seal. It's used to seal watercolors and things like that. It's Judykin's microglaze, but I think Distress Ranger also makes some type of glaze like this. And you can give that a try. I know people have tried hairspray. I have not had any luck with hairspray. I find that it smears in some cases, but if you have a fine mist spray, maybe that'll work for you. They do make sealers, so yeah. So this is my Thompson's water seal. It's a fabric seal, but this is a fiber. So you can, I haven't tried it on it. Maybe we should do an experiment. It just stinks. I can't use it right now. When you spray it, it's really stinky, but when it dries, that goes away. So you can try something like that. You can try to just brush on your matte medium, or some kind of collage medium. You basically want something that's going to seal the page. So anything that you would use to seal down a page, like a matte gel or anything along those lines would seal your page. But depending on what method you use to apply it, and that's why I love the jelly plate, you may find it smearing and running. And if that's okay with you, then that's fine. Just do you. You can try daubing it if that works. Maybe you can try working in smaller pieces so that you're not trying to go across a big old piece. But this is my favorite way to do it. And I'm going to do the rest of these, and then that will wrap up this video. I just wanted to get you started and give you some tips and give you some idea of the tools we'll be using so that you kind of had a little bit of a head start. I know a lot of you like to play ahead, so that's fine. Take it and run with it. And but in the next video, we'll start getting into putting some pages together and just some techniques. I'm going to use some stencils. I'm going to make some stencils of my own. And I have some stencils. So the way that I make the stencils of my own is on my Silhouette or my Cricut. And I just take patterns and put them down on my page. Creative Fabrica has some stencils. patterns. So if you're looking for SVGs or PNGs to use as stencils, you can go to creativefabrica.com and you can get some stencils. I'm not going to put my code or anything here because I don't want this to be a sponsored video, but you can just go over there and search stencils or silhouettes, and a lot of times you'll find pieces, SVGs and PNGs, that you can use to make your own stencils. And I make them out of like the mailers that come, the postcards. I also make them out of mylar, like a 3 to 6 mil. It depends on what I have. And so you can do those. There's a lot of videos online showing you how to do those. But yeah, so we'll use some stencils and some pastes, some modeling paste and molding pastes, some grit paste. I have a bunch of different things here that I haven't played with in a while that I kind of want to play with. And yeah, that's it, guys. So if you enjoyed this video, if you did receive some value here today, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't, because I know a lot of you watch but you have not subscribed, which is very sad. No, I'm just kidding. You do you. But if you want to see more videos, you have to hit the like button, because that's how the algorithm works, and it's probably not going to show you more of my stuff if you're not subscribed and you don't hit the like button. And maybe that's fine with you. But if you do want to see it, then go ahead and do that. All right, guys. Thanks again. I hope you have a great rest of your day or night. A good grungy goodbye. Bye bye.